welcome back to Oracle for Startups, live at Startup Grind Global Conference in Redwood City, California. I'm Whitney Dermick, and my guest is Doan Demir, the CEO and founder of Ouva. Doan, thank you for being with me.
Happy to be here.
So what are you trying to accomplish here at Startup Grind?
To meet amazing founders, to meet in venture capitals, and to understand what they're looking for when they're talking to founders and seeking out these startups, just to see the overall trends, where it's going, and see if I can contribute in any way.
Absolutely, I think you can. Let's talk a little bit about Ouva. What is your company? What do you do? Who is it for?
Our goal is to make hospitals more autonomous. So if you think about like a typical nurse shift, 8 hours, when you go to a hospital, on average, let's say 4 to 5 days, you see about like 15 different care teams. Wow. So people change all the time, and they need to know why you're there, what has happened to you while you were there, and then what might go wrong, and catch those before they happen. And actually these delays and mistakes may hurt the patient, but also it makes the job of the nurses and physicians more difficult. So we are trying to automate that, to take the load off the caregivers as much as possible, and overall make a more sustainable healthcare future.
Right. And so is the value prop, is it a data transfer conversation? What's the technology enabler that you're working with?
We leverage real-time data sources like cameras, wearables, to create a real-time record of what is going on with the patient, what's happening bedside, who is taking care of the patient, is there someone with them, are they alone, do they need help, are they off the bed, on the bed, all these kinds of things. So that, if you're, let's say, like a doctor that is taking care of the patient from a different building or different campus even, you can take out your phone and see exactly what's happening with the patient and if they need attention or not.
So a year, 5 years, 10 years down the line, when this technology is everywhere, how are hospitals going to look better?
Well, already you can, if you think about like a radiologist, for example, who is reviewing your X-ray, he or she might be already, doing that from their laptop in bed, from their home. Right. So as these types of technologies more and more come to be in the hospital, you'll start to think of hospital as more like a hotel experience, right? Like there's not someone that's always knocking at your door just to check in on you. You will be there. There will be more time for resting and healing, and only you'll get attention when you absolutely need to.
So in the medical industry and with hospitals, are you finding that there's openness to technology innovation?
There is both openness and there's a bit of skepticism as well. You definitely don't want to build a product that on one hand you're thinking of doing something good for the nurses and physicians, but might turn a hospital into like a 1984 like a state, right? Right. You don't want that.
Sure.
So what we do is we have built this platform in a hospital, working with the nurses, and we found that if you get a buy-in early, you can build it in a way that everybody feels comfortable with it. So I think these technologies are there to have great benefits to both nurses and the patients, but they just have to be built in a way that is both ethical and the care team likes it and buys it.
I love that you started with the end users and got the nurses' opinion first. I'm sure they loved that too. Right. Speaking of end users, you are a member of the Oracle for Startups program as well as the NVIDIA Inception program. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience scaling up with enterprise partners?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I keep saying, talking about this all the time about Oracle is, we were part of a different cloud provider program before. We found that Oracle there's a really good personal relationship with everybody that we talk to. Like I just walk by and see a few people and everybody's like waving at me, right? Because they know me personally. That's very rare to find in a big company like Oracle.
Right.
So I think they're doing a great job there. They helped us with the cloud, of course, giving us enough space to try out things and tools and how to work with them and so on. And now they're connecting us with the markets, bringing us in front of the customers, and we're also giving them the expertise that we have from our niche industry. So I think it's a win-win for both.
Absolutely. Well, if you think about the business world and even on the entrepreneurial space, it's enormous. There's so many companies, so many investors, so many enterprises and people within the enterprise. So the fact that you can have a personal relationship, that's where things actually get done. So much is catalyzed with a personal relationship. And I think that that shows in your technology too, of using technology to empower better relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. This is also the case in the healthcare industry a lot. If there are two products, then one is like 30 years old, maybe it's not the best, best new innovation, and then there's one that's like really good, but it's new, and the people who are buying those from the hospital side, maybe they don't know who that company is, maybe they don't know the personal salesperson that's there, so they will go with the old one just because they know the people, they had a good experience with them, and so they'll keep using the product even though it's old.
Right.
That's kind of the same right here, right? Like if you have a personal experience, then you're more likely to come back for it.
Right. Yeah, I'll stick to it because I know it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what advice would you have for other founders who might be thinking about working with an enterprise partner but maybe having some doubts because they don't have that personal relationship yet?
It was very quick for us to establish that personal relationship at Oracle, so I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. But there are so many things as a startup founder that you have to do, and if anybody can take some of it off your plate, then it's like a big relief. So that's how I feel working with Oracle and NVIDIA.
I mean, we are built on the concept of a win-win-win, so I'm glad to hear you say that.
Absolutely.
So, sounds like you have great momentum. What is next for Ouva?
We have just finished releasing our product. We have first few customers, and now we're ready to expand across United States. We have good new prospects, and hopefully in the next year or so, you'll be hearing about Ouva more.
Great.
Yeah.
And if people want to learn more about Ouva, where should they go?
Ouva.co. That's
Ouva.co. And if you want to learn more about Oracle for Startups, it's oracle.com/startups.